What's up, UPR proper? This is the AEW Dynamite Recap and Review with your hostess with the mostest, Divine Intervention, joined as always by All Elite Joker. Divine Intervention returning as your UPR two-time champion, back-to-back champion in this piece. Thank you, thank you, thank you. You may hold your applause. I'm but a mere mortal like the rest of you. All right, with that out of the way, Dynamite was a little rough this week, for being honest. Given the circumstances they were working with the weather in Chicago, a little bit understandable. Apparently, a lot of people missing in attendance, as well as superstars potentially missing. We'll kind of talk about some of that stuff coming up. But I think for everything, Victor, you are acknowledged. Given everything that they had to work with as far as the weather, I think this was a pretty good show. I think the main event really saved it, in my opinion.
Whew, that main event.
All right, well, let's kick things off. Moxley started us off this evening, a man of the people, of course. Originally supposed to be facing Brian Kendrick, but now facing Wheeler Yuta, joined by Orange Cassidy and Danhausen at ringside. Danhausen in the mix to, I don't want to say appease the fans, but I know they were expecting somebody different. Yeah, I guess we'll talk about the elephant in the room here.
Yeah, might as well go ahead and knock it out. Brian Kendrick was originally scheduled to, of course, be facing Moxley. Tony Khan put out a tweet. We've been made aware of the abhorrent and offensive comments made in his past by Brian Kendrick. There's no room in AEW for the views expressed by Brian. We think it's best for all that Brian be pulled from tonight's card as we gather more info. We'll announce a replacement about ASAP. And that was put out about an hour or so before the show.
Yeah. Originally, I had not seen this tweet before the start of the show. I thought he was missing due to weather originally. But this is obviously a bit more of a serious reason for his absence. I think I do kind of remember some stuff about Brian Kendrick in the past, as far as like some comments and stuff he's made online. But I don't know. Social media is such a prevalent thing these days, and everybody's got differing opinions. I don't want to say whatever he said was right. I don't have any information on what exactly was said. I'm just saying I'm not surprised to hear that something like this has happened.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's becoming more and more common in just in entertainment in general these days. I mean, you see it in movies, TV, music, all mediums. Like, no one's, what you do in the dark there's no such thing anymore. You
Right.
know what I mean?
Yeah, no, for sure.
You can't say anything. I think I said it to one of our colleagues. I was like, look, you verbally can't say anything anymore and it not become public. Especially if you're a person of any type of status or have any type of celebrity. You know what I mean?
Right. Any kind of following whatsoever.
Exactly.
Yeah. Unfortunate, but I mean, those were his personal opinions, and these are the consequences of his decisions. He tweeted out an apology during the show. Well, interesting. I'm going to have to definitely look into that. I think this is obviously currently developing. I don't know what's going to come of Mr. Kendrick within AEW. But as we always say here on the Dynamite Recap and Review, I guess we'll wait and see. Getting back on track with the match at hand, I think Wheeler Yuta did really well to, obviously step in to a match that he was not supposed to wrestle this evening. I think Wheeler Yuta is super underrated. And given what happened after the match, I'm very interested to see what Mr. Yuta's future might hold. Recapping the match a little bit, the crowd was pretty lively for this match. Like they
When
started out,
Moxley was doing stuff.
yeah, they started out pretty hot. It was sad that, of course, Danhausen, love Danhausen. This household loves Danhausen. Don't get us wrong, but obviously Yuta was the one in the ring, and I would give the man his flowers. Because I personally think he's very talented. But yeah, Mox Danhausen chants. At one point, Danhausen does his curse distraction, and then Yuta does a splash from the top rope. Let's see. I don't know. I think the story on this particular match here is obviously Mox is still recovering at the end. No spoilers there, but obviously Mox won this match. Pointed out this is his third match upon his return. Does this offer Yuta a bit of a shine while not taking anything away from Moxley?
Um, it's so hard because like we know this match wasn't supposed to happen. You know,
Right.
I know the whole Brian Kendrick thing wasn't something that had been like long built or anything, but I'm sure that the decision got made rather soon, rather soon before the show, and seeing that they were going on first, I can only imagine how much time. And then, yeah, I don't understand what the disconnect is between Yuta and the fans because he's so good in the ring. Like, I know he doesn't get to talk much, but I mean, he's in the best friends, and most of them don't talk for the most part.
That's
I
true.
mean, Chuck talks, Trent talks. It's pretty much it. I mean, Danhausen's just Danhausen. I guess he's now been assimilated into the best friends, which I'm perfectly fine with.
I don't know. I think it was because he's a lesser known individual, and I think he was kind of brought in as a. I know that he's billed as an apprentice, but obviously he comes off more as sidekick, And I think this kind of says it all. It's like, okay, yeah, he's good, but it's hard to get invested when there's not a chance that he's going to beat Moxley.
Yeah, and that's whenever you have matches like that. And I feel like with Mox right now, anyway, there's few matches that they could put on aside from with somebody like an Archer or somebody who's legitimately just physically imposing.
Right.
Because that's what it takes to look like. Because when you put somebody that's Mox's size with Mox, he's gonna still look like he's the more dominant one in the and you're gonna expect him to be the one that's gonna take the other person's head off.
Right.
So it would take like an Archer or Miro, or any of the other bigger guys for it to be something that you could even invest in, without a storyline going on.
Right. Moxley with the clubbing elbows to the neck area of Yuta to the paradigm shift for the finish. Like we said, no real shock there that Moxley came away with the win. I think whether it was Yuta or Kendrick, that was going to be the call here, that Moxley was going to pick up a victory. But good opportunity for Wheeler to shine. Like, as much as I've seen stuff like, oh, RIP Wheeler Yuta, and to an extent, I think that is correct. He got in far more offense than he did in his first match, and I think that if nothing else, that's an improvement.
Yeah, I thought it was a really good match, and I thought Yuta looked really good in it. But yeah, like Victor said, I mean, no one expected Yuta to win. I'm glad he got a lot more offense in this time because the way Mox walked up in that ring, I thought he was going to just knock him out again.
Right.
And be done with it. So yeah, I mean, I'm glad he had a good showing here, and I hope that the crowd, like the fans, start to get behind him at least a little bit more. I'm not saying go out and be like, oh, I need all the Wheeler Yuta merch, but I mean, at least cheer for the guy while he's out there doing really well, considering he was probably told 30 minutes to an hour, maybe 2 before the show.
Right. No, I agree. Just touching one last thing. Obviously, your boy was at ringside. Happy to see Danhausen officially on your AEW television.
Oh yes, of course. Danhausen is very nice and very evil, and deserves all of the monies. I can't wait till he's able to wrestle because if anybody here who has not seen a Danhausen match, he does the gimmick, and he's very out there, but the man can go. Kind of like almost like an Orange Cassidy situation. So I'm very excited to see him whenever he's able to get back in the ring.
Yeah, it would make sense for him to be hanging out with Orange Cassidy since their vibes are similar. But end of the match obviously leads to the after match promo segment. Bryan Danielson materializes in the ring behind. I mean, come on. We didn't know where he was. And then all of a sudden he was there. He had a microphone. It's the power of veganism.
Hey, that's fair. No, I mean, materializes was a really good word. It was just funny.
Um, I'm sorry. All I think about is the vegan police from Scott Pilgrim. How many offenses do you think he has?
No vegan diet, no vegan powers.
Oh man. Okay, so yeah, Danielson takes the mic and proceeds to swerve all over the place. Given the past couple of interactions between the two of these guys, I thought for sure this was going to lead to some sort of beatdown or match. And yeah, you remember the vegan police. Hey, how are
Hello,
you?
Ronald.
Yeah, okay, so swerved all over the place because thought we were headed for the match, and Danielson fully admits that there was a time in his life where he too was itching for this match between Mox and Danielson. But instead, he pitches the team up. He is talking about going through and kidnapping, cherry picking all the top talent and molding them in his image.
I hate AEW so much because they are forever giving me things that I didn't know that I wanted. And it's like all the places that we've been we have these, fantasy booking ideas and things like, okay. Especially with the direction that they were going in, like they were on a collision course before Mox left, right? I'm pretty sure in the tournament. So like everybody's been wanting this fight. And so, of course, like you said, with all the interactions that have been going on lately, it's just like, okay, he shows up, doesn't say anything. You see him looking at him in the back, doesn't say anything. And you're just like, all right, finally, we're going to get back to this. Can't wait to see this match. And like you said, just drifted out the parking lot. Like when he's like, all right, let's team up. But here's the thing. He names Yuta. He names Dante Martin. He names Daniel Garcia. He's specifically speaking on these these people that he sees that can be top talents, and pitches the idea of you and I can, we know each other. I know what you can do. You know what I can do.
Right.
We know what these kids can do. We can be the best here.
Yeah.
And like, I didn't know I wanted that. And they could legitimately be the most dominant faction we've seen in AEW thus far, and who knows for how much longer if like all of this comes to fruition.
Yeah. Shoot season on the other champions also, because Danielson made sure to drop bombs on the Cowboy Millennial, the man who thinks he's a dinosaur, and the Vlog King, Sammy Guevara, as our TNT champion. Elvis, I don't want to make your situation public, but just know we've read it, and we send our condolences to you and your family. But I am not sure. I'm not. Is it real?
That's the fun part. I don't know.
Is it a swerve? Like this threw me for such a loop because I think all of us were, we all are wrestling fans here. If you are following AEW, then you are familiar with certain wrestling tropes. It's like, okay, if it quacks like a duck and walks like a duck, it's got to be a duck. Meanwhile, it's a whole goose.
Yeah, exactly. Like I want it so bad, so I want it to be real. Like that's where I'm at this point. Like I don't know if it's real. Like Mox could of course come back and be like, and paradigm shifting. Like
yeah,
we've seen it from Mox before, but the fact that he didn't just haul off and punch him in the face, gives it that sense of, okay, maybe this could possibly,
it could be
a thing.
something.
And I want it to be real because it
Yeah.
seems like, we'll get to something else, another segment later, but it could be that we're finally seeing the end of another faction in the company. So
yeah, and unfortunately the Pinnacle has not done a good job of filling the void, or filling the faction gap. I think that they all are operating on their own, and I think it's fine that they all have, under the same banner, but they're not moving as a unit the way the Inner Circle did in the early days. So I'd really love to see another group. Like I keep saying, I truly think 2022 is going to be the year of factions in AEW.
Possibly, just real quick before we leave that subject. As I've thought about it, I want them to be a heel faction. And I only say that because we've yet to have like a really solid heel faction. And Danielson, with his just absolute ruthless aggression, pardon my usage of words. But bro, like just evil Danielson, evil Moxley, tainting these youth, and they can make one of the greatest factions we've ever seen.
But is Moxley unturnable with his return?
It's Moxley. At the end of the day, it's Moxley. People are going to cheer him regardless.
Mm-hmm.
Even if he's a heel, that doesn't mean he has to get booed. Look at Britt Baker. Britt Baker's been getting cheered for years at this point, and she's been a heel the whole time.
It makes no sense.
The Rock, there's plenty of situations where people have been heels and still get cheered. So that there's no, I really wouldn't call it a turn. You know what I mean? More of a change of alignment.
Mm-hmm. And that's fair. I mean, Danielson didn't come out and just say, okay, now I'm a heel. He just started speaking his mind and, kind of being more of an asshole. And obviously that transitions and reads as heel. So there's not much that Moxley needs to do to cross over into that arena. Obviously he was well on his way just before he left with all the brutality that we witnessed against the Dark Order. My question really is it too soon? Obviously this is only his third match since he's been back. Obviously AEW is the promotion of slow burn. So it's not like next week, all of a sudden they're going to have a faction together and it's going to be great. But this is interesting.
See, and that was, that's another thing. Like I could talk about this for a while because I've already been fantasy booking like a lot, and it's only been like an hour and a half. But like, do you bring Kingston in as like another, enforcer? Because Eddie has somewhat been mentoring Daniel Garcia in his own way.
Mm-hmm.
With, because he's always talking about getting him away from 2.0, and he actually admires the kid, and, he respects Daniel Garcia enough to give, to fight him, like a man. Yeah. That's how, that's Eddie's whole code. And so you take that, and okay, so now you got those two together, and it's like, you could go so many places with this. And like I said, they could be a heel faction, but, just because they beat the snot out of people, not because they're, dastardly or anything like that. It's just because they're just absolutely ruthless, and that's what they're about. Kind of like how I wish Team Taz was.
Right. Here's the next question. People can't get Daniel Garcia's name off their lips these days. Is he the new Dante Martin?
I definitely feel like Daniel Garcia for me is like the Dante Martin. So like Dante's got all the flips and stuff on lock. Like he's the aerial specialist. Daniel Garcia is the Dante Martin equivalent for technical wrestling for me.
Well, I more so mean like, obviously Dante was on everybody's lips for a while, and obviously he's been in a couple of key segments lately, and has established himself. Whenever he comes out, he's got himself a small following. Is that is it Daniel Garcia's turn that, obviously all the veterans are seeing something within the youngster that want to push him to the moon now.
Honestly, I feel like Daniel Garcia, pretty much since him and 2.0 have gotten to AEW, I feel like Daniel Garcia's name has come up constantly. Like it's consistently been in plenty of, the veterans and the commentators. Like DG's been everywhere since he's been there. And I feel like that's excuse me. I feel like, it's a testament to how good he truly is, considering he came in. I think his first match was with Moxley, and he's been doing nothing but high level stuff and fighting all these veterans who obviously see something in him. So I feel like, if anything, I know Dante's got his push, but I feel like Daniel's just been consistently there as like that guy.
Yeah.
And I can very quickly see him turning into that guy, like your Cesaros of the world, like that person that is just so solid that they deserve a world title shot. And in AEW, they might actually get one.
Yeah?
For Cesaro.
Justice versus man, free Ali, free Ricochet.
We saw Free Ali sign tonight in the front row.
Front row.
Sure did. Yep.
Free him. All right, we could sit here and fantasy book all night long about who would be in the Danielson-Moxley coalition.
That's a good name. That's a good name.
Thank you.
Rimuru.
It's my boy.
Should call him Octagon.
I'm screaming. All right. We could fantasy book this all night, but we've got a lot of other stuff to cover. So we're going to take a short break, and we'll be right back after these messages.
Oh shit, I gotta do a commercial. Hey, ladies and gentlemen, I'm the bad guy. You can catch me on Tuesday nights right after NXT go off the air. But there's so much going on with UPR. You got the wrestling aspect of everything, you got the gaming, and you got the entertainment. So there's so much content going on. And hey, you can follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Twitch, all that good stuff. There's so much content going on, and we want to say thank you for following us. And hey, if you don't follow us, I gotta say, there's a certain list that you're gonna be on. So continue to support us. Thank you for everything. And don't be jerks.
Yeah,
don't be jerks like MJF.
Like, share, subscribe, follow us on all platforms listed above and below.
And check my boy Bad Guy Jack on Tuesdays.
All right.
2.0.
Getting back on track. So we can get past some of these promos. Not my favorite segments coming up, but we still got to touch on them. First of all, okay, so all of a sudden Brandy is in the ring. And
materialized.
No, not as fabulously as Mr. Danielson. That was something else. Material girl. She is a material girl. But seriously, I don't know what this was. I did not like this. I have never been a Dan Lambert fan, but here we go. Brandy in the ring, talking about them being Cleveland or Chicago, basically the same difference. Dan Lambert interrupts, a lot of sexist comments going back and forth, talking about Brandy's previous occupation before wrestling. And sex work is a real word. Dan Lambert says he almost feels like a good person standing next to her because, she's just basically human garbage. Lots of shut the fuck up chants. People did not want to hear from Brandy. And honestly, I don't blame them. Brandy is good in
long.
She is good in tiny little bite-sized pieces. She should not have been the only person out here trying to run a crowd and run this promo. This was bad.
Yeah, no, it took way too much time. And like Victor said, I agree. It wasted way too much time. The crowd was not into it whatsoever. The disdain that the crowd just has for Brandy, like, I don't know if that was for Brandy or from Cody or what, but yeah.
I think that's specific for Brandy.
Yeah, I know they already don't like Brandy, but I'm saying, like, is that amplified because of Cody and stuff? Like,
Maybe.
I don't know, but like, I don't like this certain stuff because Brandy always gets booed out the building and can't get her promos done, and then in all honesty, she's not strong enough to talk through it like some people are. Max can sit there and talk straight through a rowdy crowd. Same thing with like a lot of the veterans. But that's something that comes with a lot of practice, and it's very hard to do that. I'm not making light of it, but like it's hard to do. And Brandy just can't do it. And then like you said, I don't like Lambert's comments sometimes, and by sometimes I mean most of the time. The cancel culture comment did make me pop because it was funny.
I think it's going to be true. I mean, I'm sure there's something that he's going to say at some point that's going to push not everybody over the edge, but
enough people to where he's not going to be able to, like, he tightropes that line, man. Like, real hard. Like, there are certain moments where I was like, damn, that's a bit much, man. I think in my note, I said Dan out of line. Like, there were certain comments that I was just like, bro, like, come on now. Like, chill out.
Yeah.
But it took too much time. Didn't like it.
Paige came in. Paige Van Zam, I guess part of American Top Team. I've seen her a couple times before. She ran in. It was like a brawl or whatever, and people wanted them to fight. Which that part of it was probably the most exciting part of the segment. Was just them kind of going at it. Women's locker room empties out into the ring to pull them apart. Everybody looked good in their outfits. What can I say? And that's pretty much it. I like this idea. Let's just Sasha's ring gear. Oh, I'm a huge Sailor Moon fan, so I absolutely loved it. And
also, so great to see Melina. I agree.
Yes. So that is the one and only thing you will hear us say about the Royal Rumble. We did end up watching it for those of you who joined us last week. I don't know if you guys truly went to the comments to try to convince us, but if you did, good job. It worked. All right, we're gonna move on because I hope they don't do this again. That I don't know where this is going. Cody just needs to come back and punch Dan Lambert in the face, and we'll just call it a day. Matt Hardy and Andrade next. Obviously touching on Private Party losing on Rampage last week. Did not capture the tag team championships. Andrade's confused, not really sure why they lost, and doesn't want any more mistakes. Isaiah Cassidy insisting that he will defeat Sammy on Rampage this week for the TNT title, and maybe even steal his girl while he's at it. I mean, Ty Conti's a pretty lady. And then, of course, Matt Hardy questions about why Darby has not joined the now AHFO. And Andrade kind of chalking it up to him needing more money and not letting him know that he got scared off by a kid with a bat.
Pretty much wrapped up the whole segment.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know where we're going with the whole AHFO thing. Obviously, Darby is involved. Do we kind of see Darby versus Andrade? Yeah, eventually.
Revolution. I'm thinking Revolution. It's probably what this is going for. That's pretty much it.
Yeah. All right. Let's see. Who do you think will join the House of Black? I'm still on Julia Hart. With the match we'll talk about next, kind of had a conclusion to a potential other member of the House of Black, but we will get to that in a second. So the commentary team reminded us that Pac Sight may never return. He's blindfolded, being led to the ring by Alex Abrahantes. And gotta admit, that was cool. I thought that was really cool. And even the first minute he wrestled with the blindfold on. I mean, you can kind of tell that he could potentially see through it at least a little bit, but still a pretty amazing feat because I can't fight somebody with my eyes covered.
Probably could.
I don't doubt that. But it was a bamboozlement. Pack could see all along. If it's a word, look it up. Yeah, Pack could see all along. My notes here are Brody King is just massive. Brody King is a huge guy. A lot of striker versus striker back and forth here. I mean, I don't want to say their styles are similar, but I mean, they both are some pretty hard hitting superstars.
Oh yeah, they're both stiff. Yeah, I enjoyed this match a lot. I loved the whole Pack with the blindfold thing. Like that was really cool. You know, gave the whole blind swordsman kind of vibes. I kind of wanted him to wrestle the whole match like that, to be completely honest. But
I did too.
Like at least this match, like I wanted him to like completely like go through the whole match and then like, or maybe just at the end rip it off. Like that was just me fantasy booking. But yeah, I was surprised at how much Pack and Penta were in control in this match. I mean, Brody and Malachi definitely got some serious offense in, and man, big dude can move. Like, I've only seen a couple of Brody King's matches before this, like before he came to AEW, and never ceases to amaze me how fast that guy can move. And again, they just complement each other so well in the ring, being Brody and Malachi. I'm glad we got to the finish that we got to. What was it?
Penta got blacklisted.
No, I know. Yeah, I know that. No, I was gonna say there was a move that Malachi did. I don't really know how to explain it, but it looked cool. I'm glad he's back to not being so obscure and out of focus. You know, I feel like they've started to like really hone in his like storyline and gimmick and everything that's going on. I'm really excited to see whenever Julia winds up joining. I think that's going to add another layer. So Penta got misted. Man, please.
You think that this is their way to give Penta an opportunity for some rest to bring him and Ray back together? Or is Penta the newest member of the House of Black?
I was about to say, I almost like, well, I don't know, because they said Ray could be back as soon as, mid-February, so that wouldn't play enough time. But depending on how long it takes Ray to recover, I wouldn't mind him going over to the House of Black, for a little while. And, when Ray comes back, that's him coming to save his brother or whatever, or even just, playing around with the idea of him joining and then Ray coming back and that being the whole, feel good moment or whatever. But
right.
Definitely Julia. I still kind of want Pac to eventually just go mad and wind up there. Like I want that to be kind of like a long storyline.
That would be pretty cool.
Like, like have it become a situation where Pac just starts to kind of like, kind of be out of character and, kind of start to push the Lucha Brothers away and all kinds of stuff like that. Have like a nice, and because Pac does one of those things, something that's very hard to do, and he's able to run a promo train by himself. And like the vignettes that he puts together are outstanding. And he could run that story so perfectly and then the slow descent into madness because he already can come off as a very psychotic and, just kind of broken. So I really feel like he could play that off really well, and it would make a really cool build, to him eventually becoming, a member of the House of Black. He could be like,
right.
Shit.
Pack for the House of Black. I'm here for it. Next, we had Adam Cole, Mr. Bebe himself, talking about last week. Last week on Dynamite was Beach Break. Orange Cassidy, of course, got the win in the Lights Out match. Adam Cole insisting that win was a fluke, and his his record indicates that he is still undefeated. And we are about to see a new side of Adam Cole. He is about to face off with Evil Uno on this week's Rampage.
And whoop his arse. Fluke, I don't know. He kind of put him through the entrance ramp, but whatever. Excited to see what Cole winds up doing if we're getting a more ferocious Cole. I'm assuming that's what's about to happen. I feel bad for Evil Uno.
I feel bad for the Dark Order in general. Like, as much as they love Hangman, they are always the punching bag to get Hangman's attention. It's like, oh, you want a title shot? Just go beat the shit out of the Dark Order. No problem. First in line.
It's their fault for being
Rankings?
so damn
Who
likable.
cares? Just go beat up the Dark Order. I'm going to go beat up the Dark Order for a title shot.
Hey, man. It's their fault for being so likable.
Touching on this really quick, because I know how much you love them boys. Shout out to them for being the first ever inductees to the Ring of Honor Hall of Fame.
Victor, don't you get my hopes up for stuff that I don't think will happen. But man, would that be something? Them boys in the House of Black. Only problem with that is, like, I love how unchained and untethered them boys truly are. And I feel like the Briscoes do their best work just being the Briscoes. And while they could beat the Briscoes in the House of Black, I feel like, I just want to see them run wild, honestly.
Here's my thing. I want to see the Briscoes when PNP become the champions. Because my only concern is another shiny tag team comes into the division and, talented groups like PNP get pushed even further. I don't want to say to the back of the line, but, obviously I think they're gearing them up to break off from the Inner Circle, which we'll definitely talk about that in a little bit. But if they are going off to do their own thing, I feel like it is only a matter of time before they become the champions. Could the Briscoes maybe come in and be their first? I know we don't do the usual, like, oh, people show up and then they immediately get a title shot. But at the same time, I think that it's got to happen eventually. Or maybe we wait until it's FTR and them boys. I know there's a huge history there, especially after what we saw. What was that, GCW?
Yeah, people have been wanting them to fight for years.
I know.
Don't do Dax and Cash? They don't still have the AAA titles, do they?
Yes, they do.
Oh, okay. Well, shit, you can have them go for that.
Yeah, potentially.
Because the Briscoes, they can go pretty much anywhere. So there you go. You can have the Briscoes come in, wreck house, beat FTR for the championships, not compromising your championships. You can have
that was
the Briscoes.
GCW.
And then now the Briscoes are the champions. And I mean,
Thank
the
you,
Briscoes aren't anybody to snuff at. The Briscoes are nobody to snuff at. They've been in the game for 20 plus years. One of the greatest tag teams of all time. I wish they were able to be on the national stage, and I think now's their chance. And we're going to see it. When
I think it's only a matter of time.
Oh, yeah, it's only a matter of time. Like, I want it to be yesterday, but, got to wait for stuff.
Yeah.
Maybe Revolution. Who knows?
Here's the hard part. With all of the WWE releases that just finished their non-compete clause, you've got people from Ring of Honor who now are available. It's like open season for the indie scene right now, and AEW is kind of at the front of that line, considering the pocketbook they have behind their roster. They could cherry pick just about anybody. I don't want to get too deep into fantasy booking who we think is going to show up, but if you had to pick one person or tag team, what one act in all of the sea of released people, who would you want Tony Khan to pick?
I'm sorry. I just had to throw that out there. I'm sorry. I just had to throw that up there because that's some fantasy booking too right there. One person.
Yeah, because I don't want to get too deep in the fantasy book. Yeah, because we could talk back and forth for hours about who would and would not be a good fit. But if you had to pick one
just to bring to AEW.
Yeah. Revolution. It's Revolution and anybody.
Bro, I want Athena so bad.
That's a good pick.
Like, I want Athena so bad. I feel like she could really be that person that she could be the woman that could really ramp up the women's division.
Mm-hmm.
The girl is amazing in between those ropes.
Mm-hmm.
And we need another ring general. Like, we need somebody who's got the experience. I mean, Ember has an ungodly amount of experience with, TV, how all that's supposed to work. Her character is so much fun. Huge hit.
Her finisher is amazing.
I was about to say that Eclipse is like, I remember the first time we saw the Eclipse and I was like, I didn't think the stunner could be any cooler until she dove off the top rope and twists into a stunner. Like, that was
right.
It's like, come on now.
Oh yeah.
Like, seeing what she can do in AEW just makes me excited. And the men's division's already stacked enough. I feel like we need more experienced women in the division. And
I 100% agree with that.
Athena would be my top pick.
For
those of you who don't know Simple Moon.
Given a couple of comment answers here, if he's finished filming his movie, Bray Wyatt, 100%.
Oh, yes.
I know that Tony Khan's not a huge fan of the super spooky, supernatural stuff. Mentioned many times his biggest regret being Matt Hardy and that whole teleporting thing that he did during his debut. So I don't know how Bray would fit from a supernatural perspective and his brand of creativity, but I'm here to see it. If anybody could do it, Bray Wyatt could do it. Bring Lana to AEW. # Miro's hot flexible wife. For me personally, before we move on, if I had to pick anybody in the ether to come, it would be Keith Bearcat Lee. I know we said that the men's
Bearcat.
Yeah, I'm sorry. It's funny to me. It really is funny. I don't know why they would give that man that name and then just give him the boot, but what can you do?
It's like, why did you do it in the first place? Don't get me started, please. I'm not.
No.
Only release I'm okay with is Shane McMahon.
Slap.
Right.
Yeah. Keith Lee is amazing. I think that he was given some opportunities in WWE, but he truly was a superstar in NXT, and I cannot wait to see what he would bring to the mix, if he were to join the roster. I know he's going to be doing something very soon. Nothing official, of course, just he's a very talented individual, and I'm sure he's itching to get back in the ring. All right.
I'm always going to pick Rey Fenix. Just throwing that out there. I love the
Really?
Oh, look, I love the Briscoes, and the Briscoes are outstanding. And a match I really want to see, as much as I want to see FTR versus the Briscoes, I really want to see PNP versus the Briscoes, okay? Because, like, their styles, I feel like, are going to be, like, absolutely beautiful together. But that's just me fantasy booking.
No Bearcat references. It's Black History Month. You know what? You were so right. I don't want to disrespect Keith Lee like that during Black History Month.
He should be left in the past where he belongs.
Oh my goodness.
And the rest of any of the weird named people. And Jesus.
I'm screaming. All right. With that, we are going to take a short break here. Divine Intervention and All Elite Joker. This is UPR's AEW Dynamite Recap and Review. We'll be right back.
Listen, everybody on Team Raw is a former world champion. Rey Mysterio, Seth Rollins, Kevin Owens, Finn Balor. But there's one dude on the team that isn't a champion, and that's Dominic Mysterio. And so he said, tonight you're going to fight somebody to earn your spot onto the team. I thought this was brilliant. And we get the return of one of my favorite guys, my man, Bobby Smashley. Wrestling Doll, do you know why we call him Bobby Smashley around here?
Because he likes to smash the crap out of everybody through the ring until he can't no more?
You're absolutely right. That's one of the reasons, but really, the real reason is that he was sleeping with Rusev's wife, Lana. So, when you put the tools to somebody, you smash. So,
yes,
my man, Bobby Smashley.
Lana for AEW. Miro's hot flexible.
Keep it away from Bobby Smashley.
I couldn't believe it when that came up. I was like, we were just talking about this woman. Welcome back to AEW's Dynamite Recap and Review, Divine Intervention, All Elite Joker. We in this bitch. All right. Let's talk about the women's match. Nyla Rose versus Ruby Soho. Obviously, Nyla upset that Nyla upset that she was eliminated from the TBS Championship tournament by Ruby. Fluke win. Coming out to just wreck house. At least I thought that's what was going to happen. But Ruby actually had a pretty decent match here.
Yeah, honestly, I feel like this was one of the best matches Ruby's had since she's gotten to the company. And they had told a great story in between the ropes. Vicky obviously getting in between them, in between Ruby and winning constantly. Ruby came out swinging, threw her jacket straight at Nyla in her face, and just was like, all right, we finna throw hands. Let's do this. Nyla, of course, quickly trucked her and just, was like, all right, let's chill this. Let's chill out. Okay. And then just flips, slams, Samoan drops. There was one bit that Ruby did, and I was like, damn, that was crazy. She put Nyla on her shoulders, like put her in fireman's carry on the apron, like on the outside of the ring, and then just dropped down into a cutter. And it looked disgusting. And that was after she had been getting her back pulverized because, she got that spine buster on the floor. Nyla was just going in on her back.
I put on here Nyla was very dominant this particular match.
Which, Nyla should be dominant in all of her matches. She's gigantic. And she's like a powerhouse. Powerhouse should look strong. And that's one thing I feel like they've always done quite well with Nyla, even when they had Riho beat her all the way back when for the first championship. Riho rolled her up. Like, it wasn't like a situation where she was, she beat Nyla down. Like, she just she was better than her for 3 seconds.
Right.
That's
all it takes.
It's all it takes. But you get all the working done on the back through the power bombs and all the spine busters and everything. And then, of course, Ruby tries to go for that. Nyla tries to go for that beast bomb from the top rope. Ruby gets out of it. Then she tries to go for that, what's it called? No future, that high kick that she does. But I thought the fact that they played around the fact that her back was messed up the whole time, she went for the kick and then in midair, she grabs her back when she gets into that extension and just falls flat on the ground. And then, of course, Nyla hits her with a crazy swanton. And then Beast Bomb, 1, 2, 3. We're done. I thought it was a great match.
I thought so too. And Vicky got involved. Obviously she was there to save the pin attempt. Ruby couldn't keep herself contained. Obviously Aubrey trying to stop her from going to attack Vicky, which did end up leading to leaving her open for the finisher. So, I liked the match. It did kind of drag on. It was a little slow. I'm trying to remember everything that was promised for this particular episode because I feel like there were things that were missing. Like there were matches that may have gone a little too long or segments that were included that it was just like, okay, this has to be filling the dead air for something. But I can't find an original, recap of what was supposed to be on tonight. But overall, I think that the match was good. I really wish that Ruby was closer to a title picture. I think she's very talented. And I just don't think that it's caught on yet. Like, she hasn't been as hot as she was when she first debuted.
Yeah. Without a doubt.
Next, Jungle Boy gets attacked by the Ass Boys. Gun Club.
And then they run away. Yes.
Danhausen's here, so they will forever be the Ass Boys.
Danhausen's favorite tag team.
Billy Gunn ass.
The son of ass.
But yeah, they corner Jungle Boy in the back. Jungle Boy tries to get, I mean, obviously he's not going to go down like a little punk. But yeah, they totally beat his ass and then throw him in the snow. And
Don't swing on Billy first, though. Like, come on, Jack. I know he was in your face, but at least punch Colton in the face first or something. Don't go straight for Billy. That man's a mountain. He's been through more tables than years that you've been alive.
Mm-hmm.
Like, Billy could have retired by the time Jungle Boy got of age. Like, yeah, but like the fact that they threw him out into the snow, and I think Austin and Colton both didn't have a shirt on at all, and then Billy had on just like a cut open t-shirt. Top. Yeah, tank top.
T-shirt,
yeah, cut into a tank top, and then they throw him into the snow, and then of course Christian and Luchasaurus come out to make the save, but they just go running off into the distance into the snow, and I couldn't help but laugh because it was just so funny. I'm like, you guys are gonna freeze. Why not run back inside or something?
Yeah, they don't care.
I know, they're stupid, and I love it.
Obviously, this is building up to Gun Club versus Jurassic Express for the tag team championships. I don't think it'll be this week, maybe next week, potentially Revolution. We are about a month out.
Only because I can't think of anybody else. Well, Kings of the Black Throne, by the time Revolution come around, could have enough wins.
That's fair. Like them do it on an episode of Dynamite instead, since they're not going to win it.
Yeah.
And save the pay-per-view match for Kings of the Black Throne. I think I like that better, actually.
Yeah, that's kind of where I've been seeing this going. And I don't know how long Jurassic Express is going to hold these titles, if I'm being honest.
Doesn't need to be long. I think just like Hangman, there's nothing wrong with a feel-good champion, but doesn't have to be a super long reign. I mean, in the segment we'll talk about, as a matter of fact, perfect segue transition. Hangman talked about his the length of his reign in his segment next with Tony Schiavone. 81 days as our AEW champion, the Cowboy Millennial. This was not my favorite segment either. I think the talking promos tonight were a little off. Obviously, it is setting up for the Texas Death Match for next week in Atlantic City. Funny that is the case, but guess you couldn't have Texas anywhere. Dan Lambert and Jake Roberts come out to interrupt Hangman talking to the crowd. This didn't last super long before Lance Archer just kind of ran in and started beating each other up. And honestly, more of this, less of the mic stuff for me personally. But some of the spots in here looked disgusting. Like he choke slammed Adam through the stairs.
Yo, he dented the stairs. And so just for a visual for everyone, if you didn't see it, Lance Archer takes the steel steps that they walk up, set them on their side, then proceeded to grab Adam Page, lift him up by his neck, chokeslam him onto said stairs, dented in the stairs, and then picked this man up like a sack of potatoes, walked him from the entrance ramp over to where the bell is, and just does the blackout to him onto the table.
Yep. I thought he was going to do it on the stairs. Honestly, I got scared for like
I did too, and I think he thought about it and it was like, nah, maybe I shouldn't do that.
Yeah, I think the way maybe it was bent or something, it wouldn't have been safe. Yeah. But for a heartbeat, I was like, oh God, this is it. Adam's not even going to make it to Texas.
That's not Texas.
Fake Texas.
Fake Texas.
Sure.
There's no snow in Texas.
That's not true.
Well, yeah.
That blackout, what was that, last year?
Yep.
Yeah, that was scary.
Ruined my paint inventory. Anyway.
Oh no. All right. Next we've got a brief Jericho promo, obviously calling out PMP for their behavior last week during the match, refusing to tag him in at all. Obviously it wasn't even worth it since they didn't win, right? From what I remember, they definitely lost. I have notes. Anyway, while I am looking for the answer here, oh no,
Side note,
Santana did win because the
I was
Judas
gonna say, I'm
effect.
pretty sure they won. Yeah, because he hit him with that power driver. Yeah, he hit him with the power driver. I was gonna say. In the meantime, yeah,
Jericho's still upset.
Danhausen's the best, isn't he? Just saying, his antics, man. I'm sorry.
Can't wait to see what he does in the AEW. But yes, Jericho obviously very upset, calling an inner circle meeting for next week and attendance. That's the word. Attendance is mandatory.
Yes, yes, it is.
Is this the dissolving of the inner circle?
I hope so. Like, not taking anything away from the inner circle. However, inner circle should have died when the Pinnacle took them out the first time.
Mm-hmm.
Jericho should have retired from regular in-ring performances after the Max program.
Mm-hmm.
I will die on this hill. I love Chris Jericho. He's one of the greatest to ever do it. Definitely on the Mount Rushmore. I will leave him there. But he needs to be like the mountain and stay his ass over there. You know what I mean? Like, I love Jericho. I really do. But I don't need to see him every week. You know, let Jericho be one of those guys. Let him be a part-timer. He's earned it. It's been 30-something years.
And see, the thing about it is that it no longer the excuse of, oh, well, the company is pushing him to do this. Like, no, Jericho genuinely loves the spotlight and will stay in it for as long as humanly possible. And I don't know if it's from an anxiety. Like, obviously, if you spent so many years protecting your spot, because if you step away for too long, it's not going to be there anymore. Like, do you think that he could have some separation anxiety from the limelight?
I mean, possibly. And I mean, we've seen plenty of interviews with legends that have retired, or, family members of legends that retire. And for a lot of wrestlers, wrestling is a drug. It's a lifestyle. It's what you do. Like, he's lived and breathed wrestling his whole life at this point. And nothing will ever take that away. But like what we talked about with Cody, when we were having issues with Cody, it can't be to the detriment of the business and the company and those around you. And I feel like it's been bringing him down, and that's all of the inner circle. I don't know what the hell they're going to do with Hager, honestly, but I'm sure, with like Hager, I'm pretty sure I said it before, you can just leave Hager with Jericho and he just be his muscle. Like, Hager doesn't have to go off and do his own thing just because the inner circle dissolved. And be like, well, I guess I'll just hang out with Jericho. But
shoot, whenever we see him, because we haven't seen Hager in weeks.
And then there's that, because Hager's not around often. So, like, just let those two coincide. So when Hager's available, let Jericho be available, and they can just do whatever.
Right.
I don't know. I don't feel like at this point in the game, Jericho is benefiting the company the way he was when the company first started.
Right.
And I'm sure the plan was probably originally going to be something different because the company wasn't supposed to be this big yet at this stage of the game. We got people's contracts and stuff coming up from the original signings. And there's plenty of people that I'm sure probably saw themselves being here a little bit longer before the pandemic changed everything and all of the WWE releases and then all of the, it's the rise to fame that was, CM Punk coming back, all of that. Like, a lot has happened in the last 2.5, 3 years. I guess 3 years from now, since this was when the announcement was made for the forming of the company. A lot has happened in 3 years.
Yeah.
And, Can't wait to see what happens.
Yeah, for sure. Kind of like what we touched on earlier. This is the year of factions, and I think that it is time to make way for some new ones. Inner Circle definitely set the precedence for what we can expect from a faction within AEW. But I think it's time for some fresh faces to take it to the next level and see what else, because it's been made clear that the way to get ahead within AEW is to have friends, even down to the people like Moxley and Danielson. Circling back to what we talked about earlier, even they are talking about banding together. Like, you would still be champion if you had backup. You know, having
the two baddest guys in the company too.
Yeah, it is setting the narrative precedence that having friends is important for you to get far within AEW. And so we will see how these friendships sort of build and develop over the coming months. Yes, time for some trios titles. I think for sure, if we were to get anything to spice up 2022, I think it would also be the introduction potentially of some trios titles. Maybe towards the end of the year, like maybe at Winter is Coming. I don't think they need to be long in 2022.
And that can be when, right?
Oh no, I was just going to say, but I think that this would be a good year to do it.
That'd be a great time for Pac to come back around to the House of Black. I'm just saying, could be trios champions.
Maybe it's the plan all along. If it is, then AEW, you can make your check out to the Downing Syndicate because we're just that good. All right.
Obviously, we win the championship and don't watch WWE.
All right, we have a lot to cover on this this main event, and I'm gonna try to condense it because I mean this match went for quite some time. It was not the full length of, you know, obviously the what was that, the Hangman Danielson one that went an hour.
The full 60 minutes.
Yeah, but they were very clever in ways to extend this match without within the parameters of the rules and a normal wrestling match. Starting things off, MJF making his way into the ring. He rips a sign on his way down because he's an asshole. CM Punk comes out and flips the birds. And Bryce has to physically restrain MJF from attacking him from behind. You know, obviously these two do not like each other, and they both rock in some new gear this go round. MJF with like the it kind of looked like the Yankees. It was hard to tell.
It was definitely the Yankees.
Okay, that because like the fabric underneath, instead of it looking white, kind of looked pink sometimes, like a light pink. And you know MJF wears a lot of those pastel colors, so I wasn't sure.
It was the Yankees.
Okay, so Yankees, and then CM Punk with the camo with the Chicago Stars. So not really sure what the significance is there, but look good. Obviously not wearing the long boys, so everybody loved that. Obviously not everybody happy with how everything turned out, and we
Hey man. Hey man, look, I didn't want it to happen either. I knew it was coming, but I didn't want it to happen either. But Max deserves it. He's really good.
I mean, we could sit here and go through spot after spot after spot. I mean, this match, there was a lot of back and forth. These two are very evenly matched and had amazing ring chemistry. And given how much MJF looks up to CM Punk, regardless of where his character is in this day and age, this was a huge match for him.
Oh yeah, I mean this match, and it was written all over his face at the end of the match, like, and his demeanor, you know. This is something he's been looking forward to. Mm-hmm. And I'm glad that these two were able to put on a masterclass of how you tell a story and finish a story in a professional wrestling match.
Mm-hmm.
What they did between those ropes and out of the ropes and out in the stands. I got my notes. Early bit, Punk was in control. They did this fun little bit, and like Max, he has this amazing way of going back in time and doing like those funny little tropes and little gags that they would do back in the day, like you Tully Blanchards and you Ric Flairs and those kind of guys.
Mm-hmm.
Like, so there's a bit when he gets, Max gets out because he's, a wuss.
Max.
He's getting beat up by Punk, and Max gets between the ropes. He's sitting on the ropes, and then Punk doesn't care, so he just punches him in the face. But Max goes back, and then his feet get stuck in the top rope and come back up. And so he just keeps punching him back and forth. And it's like dumb little stuff like that is the kind of stuff that I used to love back in the day.
Yeah.
And so to see that kind of, those types of things get incorporated, first the left arm got messed up. So Max started working on that on Punk. And then Punk went for a dive, folded up his legs on the way down. Then Max started working on the leg.
Mm-hmm.
And he was working on the arm and the leg. Punk was doing every single thing he could try to do to get out of it. And, he had a great crossbody in there, trying to do everything possible to use everything other than his left arm. He tried to do an Irish whip, couldn't do it because his arm was messed up. Tried the GTS a couple of times, couldn't get it up either because of the leg or because his arm was messed up. We saw a Pepsi twist and a Pepsi plunge, which the commentators definitely put over because we haven't seen a Pepsi plunge since God knows how long.
No, I'm just kidding.
I think JR said something along the lines of 14 years since he did that on TV or something like that.
That sounds right.
That's insane.
A fan got to chop MJF across the chest. And Tony was sad it was not him.
Also, I love how Tony Schiavone is definitely the heel commentator. Nobody notices this besides me. Just saying. He's definitely the heel commentator. He was talking mad shit about Max the whole time he was getting beat up.
At least he's consistent because he's always talking shit about Max.
Oh, he hates Max.
And Adam Cole.
I was about to say more than Adam Cole, and Adam Cole has legitimately threatened him.
Yeah. I thought it was tape at first, but it seemed to be some sort of like cord or something, like a paracord or whatever that he had hidden in his trunks, because he had something, and I thought this was genius. The way he wrapped it around Punk's neck and was choking him out and had his arm the way he did to where Bryce couldn't see it. Like, it truly was until the match was called that he had passed out that, Bryce obviously saw what happened, but like they were moving and transitioning and not once did you catch it. And I was like, wow, that is very, like, I'm curious if they practiced it at all, or, if it was just something that they did naturally with their charisma. But yeah, I was shocked with how, because like he choked him out, he passed out, and we both looked at our phones like, it's 9:35.
9:35.
What do you mean?
Like the fact that Max laid in the position to make it, to show that he is pulling with the other arm, but to where Bryce can't see it.
Right.
Like, it was magnificently done.
Genius.
And I love how we both were so, caught up in the fact that it was the main event. We knew it was the main event. They announced it as the main event. And, everything's over. I'm thinking it's, 9:58, 9:57, something along those lines. Look down, it's 9:35. I was like, wait a minute. I didn't realize this match started so early. And now it's over. What do we do from here?
And this was the genius way for them to extend the match, because we talked about this during the actual broadcast that, a normal match that's not for a title or with a special stipulation is a 20-minute bout. And so how do you extend that within the rules of, a normal wrestling match? And this was a very creative way, I thought, to do it. Obviously Bryce restarting the match, or not even restarting it, but saying that it will continue. There were deep dish pizza chants that made me laugh. I don't know if it was them trying to rouse up CM Punk or if they were just kind of getting a little winded, because again, the show tonight had its ups and downs. So, with this being such a long contest, I could see them getting a little bored in one of the low spots. But overall, this match was absolutely amazing. And they utilized every single second of, almost 45 minutes.
Let me just throw out some cool spots real quick. So they went out into the stands. Punk stomped MJF's chest in on the steps in the stands. Punk went through and missed a spear into the corner, spilled out into the outside, and that's what started the whole bicep thing. Once the bicep was messed up, Max had him on the top rope, twisted his arm, and locked his arm into place. And he lifted him by his arm and did a superplex off the top rope, which I thought was amazing. Then we saw that Pepsi twist. Then we saw the choke out. Then, we got the match restarted. Punk just gets that second wind and just pummels Max for a good couple of minutes. And then that's when he did the dive, hurt his knee. We saw the reverse Rana, which, of course, did not go according to plan, but he still was able to spike Max to where I was legitimately wondering if Max is so good. Like, I hate his guts, but he's so good. I got to respect the man. Look, I respect the man. I don't have to like him, but I can respect him, okay? I respect Maxwell Jacob Friedman. I do not like Maxwell Jacob Friedman, but I respect the man. Yeah, his selling here, both of their selling was absolutely outstanding. You thought Punk was limping and broken, especially since he's, older now. And then Max sold that Rana like he broke his neck. And I thought maybe he did hurt his neck, but
some of the screams, I was like, man, he is really selling this.
That roundhouse kick that Punk hit though towards the end of the match looked like it absolutely took his head.
How? How could he try it? He had no arm and no leg.
These are good questions. That's probably the only thing we didn't see from Punk's repertoire tonight, because that Pepsi plunge, man,
And honestly, you don't want to blow your whole load. The fact that he is still pulling moves out of his repertoire to remind people, of what he's about and what his skill set is. I think we will see the Anaconda Vice, maybe even depending on what he has going on at Revolution. It might be Max again. But I think that it has been nice that he hasn't just come out and bam, everything that I do, I'm going to use it in every single match. I think it's been strategically done and good for them.
But of course, you got Wardlow come out, brought the ring. I like the way they slipped the ring without it being. Yep, there we go. Wardlow came out. He stares Punk down, and of course, the camera's right here, and so all we see is Punk and Wardlow staring each other down. Meanwhile, Wardlow has his hand behind his back, passes Max the ring, which nobody saw, and then
because the camera was real tight on their faces.
Yeah, like it was right here on their faces, so it worked out. Like, I thought that was brilliant. They're really getting a lot better with the production, and I haven't seen nearly as many problems. And there's not 47 camera cuts in the span of 20 seconds. Just throwing that out there. But yeah, the camera work was done amazingly. You didn't even see Max get the ring until after everything was all said and done. He's getting really good at slipping it back into his trunks when he gets done with it.
I feel bad for whoever gets it next, because that's been down by his
for 3 years. It will have been in Max's crotch.
Yep. Good luck, whoever gets it next.
Don't want that.
What was the results from tonight? Yeah, we're just covering the CM Punk versus MJF match. Unfortunately, if you are just joining us, yes, CM Punk did lose this evening via Wardlow, not necessarily distraction, but oh no, I'm sorry, distraction might be a better word.
Yeah,
But
no, he distracted him.
it came down with the Dynamite Diamond Ring, definitely bamboozled, and here we are. Unfortunately, it seems like CM Punk has taken his first official singles loss
to Max in Chicago, which makes it all the more worse.
Yeah, definitely does sting a little bit more that it is in front of the hometown crowd. The only thing that I will say is obviously with it being a match that I'm sure, has been looking forward to literally his entire life. You could tell like he didn't pull up. He was slumped over CM Punk for several minutes after the bell, and I kind of wondered to myself, like, I wonder what they're saying to each other. Obviously, super emotional evening for MJF, the person and not the wrestler. But
which is important.
As soon as he came back up, though, I mean, the mask was back in place. He was MJF once again, big old grin, and ready to terrorize the masses. I'm sure we will not hear the end of this for the next couple of weeks, but
oh yeah,
next
couple of weeks, the rest of this year.
Oh, I'm sure, but obviously we're in Revolution season, and I don't know what that means. Obviously, Adam Page is about to face Adam Cole. A lot of Adams floating around AEW these days, but about to face him for the title. So where does that leave MJF for Revolution? That's why I was like, well, with the cheated victory, we really could see this again, but maybe with a stipulation this time.
Like, I kind of want them to do the stipulation match only if Punk and Colt have patched up their differences, which I don't think they have. I really just want to see the Colt Cabana save spot, but if that was going to be a thing, they probably would have done it tonight because it's in Chicago and everybody would have lost their damn minds.
Right.
I don't know.
Do we save it because the crowd started off hot, but kind of wonky towards the end?
I feel like they're kind of Chicago is kind of like all over the place anyway. Great venue. They're usually quite a hot crowd, which tonight was no exception, but they kind of do their own thing.
Yeah.
I don't know. I could watch them do it another match, definitely, because their ring chemistry was just absolutely outstanding, and it was a good, honest to goodness wrestling match, and I appreciate that every now and again. As much as I love my flips and tricks, this was a masterclass on how to do a wrestling match, and you had one of the greatest to do it, along with one of the future greatest to do it.
Yeah,
like Max is already better than some legends in their prime and then in their entirety of their careers. Okay. Like, again, I don't like Max. I don't like his character, but I respect that man.
Yeah.
And he's amazing at what he does. So like I said, I can see it again. I'm sure you wouldn't mind seeing it again. I know you are a huge fan of Max's and become a fan of CM Punk's as you've seen him.
I try not to put it out there because I know how much everybody does not like MJF. I'm from New York, so I get his character and everything that MJF stands for. So what can I say? Woman of culture, as your UPR 2-time back-to-back champion.
Sorry. I'm sorry. Reigning, defending, undisputed UPR Champion of the World. Divine intervention.
Yes, it's me. It's funny. Bella showed up and not Daniel. Yeah. We did end up watching the Rumble, seeing them in the Rumble. It was nice that they did the yes chant going down to the ring. I thought that was a very nice touch. Obviously sending shout outs to her man from the Rumble, but I don't know. definitely won't open the can of worms there. You know, we might have another segment at another time to discuss the Rumble, but we've droned on long enough about tonight's Dynamite. Overall, I'd have to give it a 6. I recognize that they had some issues to get through, obviously with the weather and potentially maybe some timing issues or scheduling issues if people weren't able to make it. But gotta calls it like I sees it, and this week's wasn't my favorite.
7 for me.
7. That's pretty.
The main event. I was about to say the main event I really liked. Obviously.
Yeah, match of the night for me.
Oh yeah, definitely, without a doubt. I enjoyed that. I really enjoyed the Pac and Penta match with the Kings of the Black Throne as well. And then I really liked the Ruby and Nyla match. I thought that was probably the best match Ruby's had since she's gotten here. So it was a pretty solid episode. No, it was not their best, but this is grading, no curve, very harsh criticisms. So. Got to call it like he sees it, like you said, and it was.
Plus,
not
I
their
think
best,
they did the best with what they had.
Yeah,
I mean,
and then especially with the Kendrick thing and like you said, the weather. There was a lot going against them tonight, and I feel like they did really well considering, especially since Punk just did a 45-minute match with Max, and people were wondering if he would still be able to go.
Yeah. Well, as we say here in the Dynamite Recap and Review, we will just have to wait and see.
Let it play out.
All right, everybody. Thank you guys so much for joining us this week. Looking forward to seeing you guys again next week, every Wednesday here on YouTube, Twitch, all wherever you get your streaming podcasts from. I'm Divine Intervention. I can never remember which way to point. It's late, you guys. I'm sorry. He's all Elite Joker. Thanks so much for joining us on Popular Review, and we will catch you next week.